Hey y'all, Billy from Perma Pastures Farm. Okay, anybody that's been watching knows we got a couple of new sheep here. They're a little bit skittish. They've been that way for a little while, and that's normal. There's nothing wrong with that. But we got to move them because I just did a video on moving or, responsibly grazing your animals, okay? Well, here it is. You see seed heads everywhere, but all right, there was a car driving by, so we had to we're down by the front of the property by the road, so that happens every blue moon. Anyway, they've been in here one day. They could actually stay another, but we need them to get through during this flush as quickly as possible. So we're going to move them a little more often. And they're hitting an area that really hasn't been hit before. We did a little bit of clearing out here, and you could already see the growth coming up. A lot of it pioneer species. But the real focus of today's video has to do with this netting, okay? And a lot of people are wondering, how do I move the netting with the sheep in there? There's a couple of ways you can go about it. You can buy another net, expand it, get them into there, then close it off. But if you want to just stay with one net, which is a really good management tool, because this is one of the easiest ways to teach yourself proper grazing. So right out of the gates, anybody that wants to know, what are the barometers I'm looking for? I want them to basically eat a third. They're going to trample a third, and then we're going to kind of leave a third. But then right now, it's okay if they eat a little bit more than that. In fact, like I said, they could stay in here for another day. But I want to show you the key in moving skittish sheep from one paddock to the other without worrying about them getting out. You want to do this. You want to be real careful about how you do this, and you want to play to the sheep's concerns while you do this. And the reason why is when you have sheep this size, they can easily jump this fence. This is only a psychological barrier. That's it. So you want to do it in such a way to where they can, you're working with the sheepness of the sheep, right? So out here is the area I want to take them all through here. This high grass, Right here's where I want them to be. Here's the key. Whenever you move these guys, especially in this kind of environment, you want to always make sure they have a point of egress, meaning that they always have a place to retreat. So the first thing we're going to do is expand, because they know they know what's good, and they know what they want. So right here, they know they want to come here, but they're not so willing that they're willing to brave the fence. So what we're going to do is slinky this net out this way. We're going to give them some brand new stuff, even though there's a fair amount in here they haven't touched. We're going to just kind of get their beak wet, so to speak, bringing the net out this way. Once we get them over here, we'll slinky the top end out that way. And then anytime you move sheep or any other animal, it's funny with sheep because they go over here, they'll nibble on something. And they're like, oh, this is over here. Then they'll go over here. But first we want to capture their attention to this spot. So with that said, me and Michelle are going to kind of slinky this net over this way and get these. You'll see them. They're on the very opposite side. They're still skittish. So we're going to give them a little area and then work the back way. They're going to come this way, and then we'll just back and forth get the net all squared away. It doesn't take that long. Here we go. All right, so it's just a little piece. They've trampled the good night out of all this clover and eaten a fair amount. Now, we opened up this tiny little spot. In fact, that might be a little bit too tight because they're not going to like narrow openings. So, Michelle, can you pull it a little tight that way? So what we're going to do, I'm going to walk on this side and we're going to move them. They're going to see this. Right now, they're very, very taken with Chloe right now, and they're stomping like, what is this? What's going on? So hopefully this works out well. They're a little distracted. So I'm going to get up on the top side, and I'm going to just kind of walk. My presence is going to make them want to look at other options. All right, they're over in that little peninsula area back there. And the dog is kind of messing them up a little bit because they're just not accustomed to seeing her here. But they're over there right now, and they're not really cool about it. I can tell by their body language. So all we're going to do, you got to be careful when you police up this fence, because if you make it too tight, they'll either run through it or run over it or jump over it or something like that. And that's not a habit you ever want in your sheep, because once they figure that out, it's going to be a nonstop deal. So you're going to have to separate them and ultimately cull them. So right now, they're still looking at the dog over there. I can tell by what they're checking out. But we're going to slinky up the back side of this net now that we've given them a part to work on. We're just going to have to work slowly because Chloe, the little puppy over there, is adding a few more variables. But that's okay. That's farm life, right? So we're just going to slinky this net down and bring it that way. Now they're starting, okay, look at him. That little ram down there is starting to go to work. They're starting to be a little more comfortable. So now we're going to sling this thing around. I'm going to keep them over here. We're going to slinky this net around. We're going to start pushing it out there. When they see that new forage, it's on.
Come here.
We're not going around it. We're just going to put them out. Okay, if you look at them, they're kind of approaching back, right? So they're not quite secure about that area. There's a whole lot in their psychology I can't possibly convey in this video, but I'm going to infringe upon their space. As soon as they get as far as the edge of that net, I'm going to stop moving. Don't crowd them anymore or they will go. You stop at that point. When they get to that point, when they're several feet away from the fence, don't approach anymore. That's as far as you want to go. So they're over there. They're starting to get a little interested. They're still worried about this puppy. So what we're going to do, because Chloe's on this side over here now, we're just going to slowly slinky this net. We could even take it around these trees, in fact. Maybe we'll just go ahead and do that. So we'll go ahead and get it on. Here they are, new spot. Now, they would prefer to be back this way with all those pioneer species and weeds, right? Because that's really what they love. This grass, they'll eat it, but it's not really what they love. But I need it down. I need it to be knocked down. And that's exactly what they're going to do out here. But the big thing about it is when you move these animals, you can't crowd them, you can't move quick, you can't do a bunch of those things that people think you need to do. You got to work with them. You got to know their proclivities. You have to know their strengths and what their weaknesses. Remember, the only defense this animal has is to get away, and they're good at it. They're really good at it. You'll find out if they ever get out. So what you want to do is give them, if you just remember, if nothing else you take away from this video, remember to give them a point of egress, a place they can go, and it's better if there's an attraction there that they want to hang out with. So I know there's a lot of people out there into sheep, getting into sheep, thinking about sheep. This is one of many methods. I could probably do 30 videos on how to deal with these guys, especially in terms of being around them. Now, they would have never, as a little side note, just days ago, they would never have gotten this close to me. But they're curious about that dog, and they're curious. They're getting more and more curious with me, so you want to spend a little time with them too. But don't become their friends. Okay, there we go. We got it in a nutshell. Michelle's putting back their hot wire. Go back and watch that video and see how we do all that as far as the tethering system. And they're off and running. Just a couple of minutes, here they are, moved for the day. It doesn't take a whole lot of work. Remember, subscribe, tell your friends about us. Most importantly, do this stuff yourself. It's not that difficult. Till next time, this is Billy, the Permaculture Pimp Daddy, where PIMP stands for Permaculture is my passion. And they're part of the reason why. We'll see you next time.